kitchen. Hope you're doing well. Today, we're making a turkey roulade for that holiday dinner. Here are the ingredients you'll need for this recipe. Feel free to pause. I'll list the ingredients in the description below. The great thing about this roulade is you make it the night before and put it in the fridge overnight. That allows it to set up a little bit and be perfectly ready for baking the next day. This also frees you up to make that mashed potato, your other sides, and spend time with your family on the special holidays. Now's a great time to pull that gravy and cranberry sauce out of the freezer. You can find the video for the make-ahead sauces down below, or here, somewhere on my page. Let's start by preparing all of the components for our stuffing. So get your apple washed and peeled. And when I'm grating an apple, I tend to just leave it on the core. It allows for something to hold on to as you're grating and you don't waste as much apple at the end. Get that grated on the large side of the box grater. You can see what I mean about that core there. It gets it right down to the center. And you're not wasting any apple. This is gonna also add some moisture to the stuffing, so it's gonna keep your turkey nice and moist since we're using white meat. Get the apple into the bowl, and let's do the same with your onion. We're not going to slice the onion in half. We're just going to keep it whole as possible, taking the skins off and then grating it. Grate your onion on the large side of the box grater until you get down to the end. Into the bowl with the apples. You can see how wet that is. You don't want to lose any of that liquid in this instance. I love sage. It goes well with so many different types of meat. Turkey, pork, veal. It's just the perfect autumny herb. Just like you would chiffonade basil, you'll do the same with this sage. So I just like to stack them on top of each other. Make sure you've given these a little bit of a wash. Remember, they do come from the ground, so they may have dirt on them. So try and roll it up the best that you can. It's quite a thick little cigar there. And you just want thin slices, as thin as you can get them. This is going to season both your stuffing and your butter that's going to go on top of your turkey. A nice way to get them nice and fine is just to bring them together and then just run your knife through them. And that will be fine enough for our purposes today. Put half aside and the other half into your stuffing mix. Just give your garlic a little crush. Just get that skin loose. And then we're going to microplane them into each of our bowls. 1 clove into the stuffing mix and 1 clove into the topping. Our microplane is going to get a bit of a workout here, so we're going to microplane some garlic into our stuffing mix. Watch your fingers.
Microplane is just like a fancy grater though, isn't it?
It is. It's a fancy grater that grates things very finely. Now garlic into our topping. This is actually going to go get mixed into butter, and it's going to go under the skin of the turkey, so it's going to again keep that really moist. You just want to get all that garlic out from underneath. Let's get our lemon zested. Again, you don't need too much lemon zest. You don't want it to be very lemony, but the citrus from the rind of the lemon just brightens it a little bit. So I would say about half a lemon's worth of zest just in there. And last but certainly not least, a little bit of nutmeg. About, I would say, 1/8 of a teaspoon. Nutmeg is my favorite spice. It has that really homey holiday smell to it. You can put it in savory dishes, you can put it in sweet dishes. It is just such a beautiful spice to use. And actually, I remember buying some once that still had their shells on them and you had to crack them open and they were just like little nuggets of magic. If you did manage to see my episode of Culinary Genius USA, you'll remember that I had to get the sausage meat into the casing. Well, now I'm pulling it out. You can sometimes find sausage meat that hasn't been put into the casing, or you can mix up your own if you'd like. These ones are just a regular old sausage with a bit of black pepper in them, and you're just going to squeeze out 6 sausages. I find the easiest way to get it out, sometimes if the ends are a little bit twisted, is just to take it from the middle, give it a little bit of a squeeze, and then just use your fingers to slide it out either end. Now my sausages are already seasoned with black pepper, so I'm not going to add too much. And a sprinkling of salt. We're going to get in there and mix it all together. Squish, squish. Happy with that? Now let's finish off the topping for our turkey. Into our bowl with our sage and garlic and that little bit of lemon rind, we're going to add our butter. Possibly. And we're also going to season this because this is going to be the main seasoning for the turkey. So you'll really want to add a fair bit of salt and a good amount of pepper. Make sure you give it a really good stir. Get all of those seasonings, that sage and garlic, pushed through the butter. And this is actually going to sit underneath the skin of the turkey. Oh, that smells so good. I could just put that on some garlic bread right now and it'd be perfect. I'm gonna set that aside and we'll get started on the turkey. Up close and personal with our bird. We're using a turkey crown here. We'll usually find them without a breastbone in them, but if you do find that they have a breastbone, you can either ask your butcher to remove it or you can remove it yourself. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to butterfly this open and fill it with the stuffing. Now, we don't want all of this skin rolled up underneath that turkey because it's going to go quite slimy, and you want that nice crisp brown turkey skin, don't you? So we're actually going to take the skin off of the bird. Now this is a little bit tricky. You're going to want to be quite gentle here. Just slowly start to slide your hand between the membrane of the skin and the turkey breast, and that will help to release it. If I was doing a whole turkey, I would actually do this and then stuff that sage butter underneath it. But because we're doing something a little bit different today, we're actually going to take the skin right off. And you can use any kind of turkey meat that you like. If you prefer dark meat, feel free to use a turkey leg. You might not be able to get the skin off quite as smoothly on a leg, but feel free to give it a try. And if you find that you don't have a nice piece of skin at the end, you can use bacon or prosciutto to cover it up and keep it moist. And this is what you should end up with. So a nice intact turkey breast skin. And that's got its fatty little pockets still in there, so it'll crisp up really nicely on the turkey breast once it's in the oven. Set that aside and we'll get started on our breasts. It's important whenever you're working with any poultry or pork product that you keep your hands and your area nice and clean. You don't want any cross-contamination. So keep that in mind if you're going from one thing to another. We're going to flip that turkey over. I'm just going to take a knife that's pretty flexible. You want something that has a little bit of bend to this. So these little bits here that open up on their own, those are the turkey tenders. And you will just want to open those up and actually use that line to start making some light slits. We're going to continue just through until we have a little bit more of an even surface area. We're actually going to pound this down a little bit so that it's a little bit smoother and more even, so it cooks more evenly. That looks quite good on that side, and let's start on the other side. I'm going to flip this around. Again, making sure that if your turkey does touch anywhere, that you're decontaminating afterwards. I'm just making short little incisions, really, to get that butterflied open. If you think that this is too big for your family, if you're not going to eat this much turkey, you can certainly use just one turkey breast. You don't have to use a whole crown, but this is a nice size to have any leftovers, and actually this is really lovely on a sandwich the next day. So we're going to cover it up with some plastic wrap so that we can thin it out a little bit. Now, I can't find my meat mallet for the life of me, so today I'm going to be using the bottom of a little stock pot. If you can think of a more eco-friendly way to make this happen without using all of the plastic wrap, I'd love to hear about it, so please do leave that in the comments. All right, we're going to make a bit of noise. We'll probably have some sort of musical interlude or something.
Well, it's definitely dead.
Now we're going to spread our sausage mix across our turkey in a nice even layer all the way across. Time to roll it up. From the short end, we're just going to roll it up, making sure we're not losing any bits as we go. And again, a little bit of caution near that center bit there. Make sure you're getting your thumbs under, you're not losing anything. And don't worry, because that turkey skin that we saved earlier is gonna cover all of this up. So get that in there just like that. And that's our roll. We're going to take that butter we prepared earlier and slather it over our turkey. I know it looks excessive. I promise most of it will run off in the cooking, but it really does help keep that white meat a lot more moist. Nobody likes a dry turkey. Get it good and covered, and then we're gonna get that skin back on the top. So we'll come back to our skin, and we're going to just place it over the roll. We're going to tie this up with some twine so that it stays nice and tight when it's baking in the oven. We're going to tie up our turkey. So I've pre-prepared some cooking thread, twine really. Just give it a good knot. You just don't want it to come apart on you while it's cooking. And this is actually, like I said, going to set up in the fridge overnight. You want that butter to get nice and hard so it doesn't melt out straight away and it keeps everything in its place. Trim those last little bits of string off so that they don't burn in the oven. Just like that. Make sure you throw these away. Don't let your cats eat them. So we're going to create a little blanket of cling film to get this all wrapped up in. And then we're going to just transfer our turkey breast over to the cling film, and from the long side, because you want to make sure you can tighten these at the end to make it nice and firm. You're going to just pull that over like that, and then from each end you're just going to wrap it up like a candy bonbon. I've seen people swing these around. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can roll it a few times to get it nice and tight. And there we are, ready for the fridge and then into the oven tomorrow. I've taken the turkey out of the fridge just to come up to room temperature. You don't want it to be too cold when you put it in the oven. And we'll prepare our pan and we'll get it in there. So I've just sliced an onion in half and taken the top and tail off. And I'll pop those into the pan. I'll put a carrot on either side and one in the middle, and that will just act as a base for the turkey so that the juices have somewhere to go and that turkey is not just sitting there basting away in its own juice and getting soggy on the bottom.
A soggy bottom. There's nothing worse.
Let's get this out of its little blanket carefully. You don't want to pierce that skin. Now this is going to go in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. At which point we're going to cover it up with some foil and turn the heat down to about, I would say, 170 or 350-ish. The final internal temperature should reach 155 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius. We're just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on the top just to make sure that skin gets nice and crispy and brown. And we'll sprinkle a little bit of flaky salt on top of that. I've just put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan just to keep it steamed and hydrated so that the pan doesn't burn on the bottom. I took the foil off for the last 5 minutes just to get it that nice golden brown and crispy on top. Now we're going to cover it back up with the foil for about 30 minutes just to allow the juices to reabsorb. This is a great time to take out that make-ahead gravy and cranberry sauce, get that gravy heating up and that cranberry sauce coming to room temperature. So we took it out of the oven at 155 degrees and let it rest. It's now up to 165, so you know it's ready and safe to eat. Let's get it onto your cutting board. And let's do a nice cross section of this because it's just going to be beautiful. You can see how there aren't very many juices running here, and that's because we've let it rest for long enough. Time to enjoy this with my family. Thanks for watching our turkey roulade. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.